Okay, I'm live. So what I wanted to say, it's kind of funny. I don't tend to upload to YouTube, but I'm gonna try to maybe stream it, and maybe it will be an easier process. So I had a conversation with a guy, but whether or not he should accept a job and how to get a job and yada yada. And I already did a video about this before, but I want to do it again. Hopefully, it won't be as muffled. My English is kind of crappy when it comes to the night, and I'll try my best to explain. Okay. The market as of today, 2024, almost 2025, is insanely saturated with junior developers. So, unlike maybe 5 years back, where you literally would pay someone would pay another like junior developer to become a developer. Now the barrier, like the entry level is insane. You need to know Dockers and containers and React and backend and front end and communication and file management and what. So much shit is insane. Okay, because the market today is so saturated with developers, most junior developers actually go to become DevOps, and then trying to make sense to it by saying, well, I might do like conversion to become a developer. But that's such a wonky way to think about it. Don't get me wrong, it is possible. But let me ask you this. Most of the people that are thinking about it, what is the likelihood of you to become a DevOps? Or like the conversion? Like how often does a DevOps that want to convert to the development actually does it? What is the process? Like it's so unclear. And when the process is not unclear, it's just like you cannot make 50% about that to say, well, it's a, I don't know, like it's a 50-50. Like you can access the knowledge. You can learn in WhatsApp and Facebook groups and what like in LinkedIn. You can just post about it, just asking about it in LinkedIn, and I'm sure like immense amount of people would love to help you. So what I would recommend, that instead of taking like this job, I'm in the center, then instead of like taking the job of becoming a DevOps, I would recommend just take a second, like figure out what you want to do, figure out with yourself. If you want to become a developer and you're not in a financial, let's just say, situation where it becomes a burden to not be in a job right now, and you have absolute belief in your abilities, then I would recommend taking the long road. That recruitment will take between 1 year to 1.5, could be around this timeline. Like what I've known from either students that I've been teaching or whatever. This is the process that I recommend you to take if you're not in a financial situation that forces you to take a job. Well, first of all, you would learn much more than just to accept a DevOps job and then trying to figure out from DevOps, which is not, it could be related, but it's not really related to development. It will not help your algorithmic thinking as much as becoming a developer. You would also become independent. You would understand what it means to create a personal brand. You would also understand, like, I don't need it currently. That's why I didn't put much emphasis to it, but I'm trying to do it now. But you will create your own personal brand. You become unique in your own way, and you figure out what is unique for you. Like, that's what matters the most, because in a market where junior developers are in, like, there is many junior developers, what makes you unique? What kind of credentials do you have? Are you trustworthy? Like, all these things cannot be really found in a 1 hour conversation with another person. So if said person has bunch of content, media, Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, YouTube posts, like whatever, videos about himself, whatever you can get that would, let's just say, convey you as a persona, it will be easier for recruiters to find you. It'll be easier for recruiters to actually figure out if the, let's just say, the interview also outlines with whatever you're showing outside. Like, let's just say you're also nice and smiley, and when you're coming to YouTube, like, frick you, and like whatever. Like, it's a personality thing that you need to figure out. Like, it's the personality thing that they need to figure out. The HR needs to figure out. The development department need to figure that out. It's easier to become a developer if you make yourself known, and also like it also gives you perspective. You might end up running after, I'll just say, a job, like you want to become a developer, but also you figure out, man, there is like this really cool shit like that I wanted to create. I really wanted to create this startup or project, or to just be with my friends and create something, whatever. I wanted to understand what it means to create a website. Like, what is the process? In a regular job, you won't actually know how to do that unless like you're specifically like the first developer there. Usually juniors will get to a job where there is either a junior developer, like zero from scratch, and maybe like a CDO and like a small company, like whatever I had through, or you'll be like with a lot of developers, so no one would ask you to do that. And this process is very fun to know. Like, usually, how do you connect the DNS, and how do you connect the IP addresses, and if you want to use Google Cloud and scale continuous integration and development with the process. But hey, that's DevOps. But it's different. It's for your startup, not someone else's. Right? And once you're becoming accustomed to, oh, now I know how to do this and that. How do I monetize that? How do I make money out of it? How do I improve myself in the process? Because usually developers think that the process to become a better developer is to code and code and code. And you hear about developers that are doing shitload of leak code. And that is wrong. Making a leak code is only one aspect of which you can become a better developer. I recommend doing leak code every once in a while to refresh it on your algorithmic abilities if you're not in, or you're doing too much front end, which is not as algorithmic as like create a component there to get if else, whatever. It's pretty simplistic, or a very simplistic backend with Nest.js is not very complex. Create REST databases. Like, it's not an algorithmic rich questions. So lead code is amazing for that, but it's not the only thing that developers can improve on. For example, typing speed and type efficiency are two different aspects of which developers can improve themselves. And what is the difference between the two? Is immense. Usually, typing speed is words per minute. How fast are you typing? Currently, like, you should be above the average for typing. Should be more than 30 words per minute, because that's how the average, according to Google, is between 30 and 40. You should be much more than that. Like, to put it in perspective, even I'm not like the fast thing I can do. The fastest that I ever had recorded was 80 or around 70. And you can improve in that aspect, because if it takes you too long, it's not really worth it. And also type efficiency, which is like the equivalent of developer experience in your IDE and your workflow, is, let's just say I want you to create a piece of code, not using ChatGPT. We'll talk about it. This is a different subject. I want you to write a piece of code, in a for loop to scan a matrix, whatever. How long will it take you to write this code with another person, assuming that you can type in the same speed? If you can type at the same speed, whoever makes the least amount of keystrokes is the faster developer, is the more efficient developer, to say the least. And one of the ways that you can become a more efficient developer is using snippets. Snippets is, well, I can have actually, should I show them? I can show you even, but later. It's like the ability to write 3 keystrokes, or like whatever, like a prefix, where it's like you write the prefix and then you hit tab or enter, and it writes the entire other thing that you meant to write. So if you're familiar with it, if you go to Visual Studio Code or to your favorite IDE, IntelliJ, whatever, you write a log, not even the console log, and you press enter. Usually it will complete you to console.log. This is a snippet. Now, if you're really advanced, you can create your own snippets using an online VS Code generator. It's like the first website there. It's very easy. Or you can understand even more and have the snippets custom made, meaning how many times have you written use state? Like, I'm pretty sure if you're a React front-end developers, you're doing use state so much. Now, if I were to tell you that you can write like 3 letters in the element that you want, and that's it. Like, that's the base of it, and it will complete the rest. That will be amazing, right? Just imagine that, like, I have const, like link, comma, set link, and then you use state and an empty string. This could be done with a snippet like RUS, which is React use state. Like, this is the shortcut, the prefix that I'm using. You just write link and the value, and it completes the rest. It saves so much time, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about developer efficiency. The developer efficiency doesn't end with just snippets. Obviously, if it takes me too long to do something, for example, I want to copy a row before the row that I'm currently on. So I would do something like taking with the mouse, moving the cursor, copying the entire thing, pasting the entire thing, like whatever. The better one would be Control C, Control V, or Alt Shift, arrow down. That will copy the row underneath it. The end result is you got the same row twice, and now you can do whatever you want. You want to delete whatever, you want to create a new file in the Explorer. You can go to the keyboard shortcuts and to edit it. By the way, what that I would do is, like, in the keyboard shortcuts, you can use, when you're on the Explorer, Control N for me, it just creates a new file. If I ever use Visual Studio Code, this is amazing. And Control Shift N creates a new folder. Amazing, recommend it. You want to move between files. Alt Tab would move you between windows. Control Tab would move you between tabs. You want to move to a different buffer or to a different file. Control P. You want to restart. You want to run a command. Control Shift P, and now you can run commands on the Visual Studio Code, understanding what is LSP. So that will be the basic thing, and to know the basic thing about your IDEs is incredibly important. Like, you cannot miss the opportunity to know your shortcuts, know your abilities, understanding extensions, meaning like how I use extensions and what extensions are preferable and when they are not. Again, I'm more Visual Studio Code oriented, so if you're using IntelliJ, I'm pretty sure you have your own thing there, though I don't really understand why you're using IntelliJ. I heard some really good arguments for that, but and from here on then, just continue on improving both coding, logic, developer, like typing, and typing efficiency, typing speed and typing efficiency, which is typing efficiency is also workflow. Your workflow needs to be better. You want to create a backend. For example, you want to create a backend from scratch. How would you do that? Would you write the tsconfig? Would you write the source files? Would you do the same thing over and over again if I told you that I want you to run a new backend? No, you probably shouldn't. You probably should have instead generate backend one that usually have Express generator that people are not aware of, that you can literally generate a function. Also, not using Express because it's old and really obsolete. Right? Use Fastify or Nest.js is like much better than just using plain old Express. Or if you want speed, use HyperExpress or the Node native one. Both are amazing when it comes to speed. So another aspect that you can improve on is the technology and understanding what technology are you using and why are you using it, right? If you don't understand the decision making of how or why npm package should be chosen, then you understand that it's not really good. And it's not like something you can ask ChatGPT about. Oh, I have a package that has 600,000 weekly downloads versus 100,000. Which one should I take? The ChatGPT will tell you, well, usually the 600,000 is the better one, but it doesn't know the context of which you are, like, what fits to your needs. Like, I had a conversation about it today. Should I use parse PDF or PDF to JS or whatever library? How do you choose? And like, can ChatGPT really give you the algorithm? It will help you to sort of align you to how you do things, but the experience itself of how to pick is by picking yourself by going to the npm packages and documentation and read them. Which brings me to my last point. ChatGPT is not that great for junior developers. And there are a lot of reasons, but I'll try to concentrate on the main ones. The first one, ChatGPT just wither you down. It just prevents you from thinking. And it's not like it's not doing it in a bad way. It's just like it in the way of it's teaching you of how things should work. It takes so much from the experience of reading the documentation, Google searching, and like don't get me wrong, ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT too, but I don't use it for my development workflow at all. Just maybe for tests and documentations because that's the thing that I want to keep have someone else to do. But the experience of how you pick the technology, ChatGPT shouldn't help you. You should understand which technology you're picking based on both what other people are saying about the technology, analyzing and understanding the technology yourself. For example, you can use Redis for a caching system, but this caching system is only on the back end. What technology do you use for the front end? What do you use also? Why wouldn't you use a CDN? Or when do you use CDN? Or what fits? If you use ChatGPT, it would either tell you the answer without really explaining why. And even if you do explain how to explain why, you didn't actually experience these technologies and their implementation and application in your application. Funny enough. So that's a miss for ChatGPT. And like I can bring many more examples like this, where let's just say you're in a class, then you're learning how to become a developer, right? So the teacher tells you, "I want you to create a backend," right? And didn't give instruction of how. It says like search Google, and then you go and search ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives you all the answer. I'll ask you this: like, what is the difference between asking ChatGPT and telling the teacher, "Hey, can you please provide me with the answer"? What is the difference? There is absolutely no difference between the two. And that's incredibly annoying and sad. Have you ever I like to use this example. Have you ever went to a gym and said, "I want to become like a bodybuilder, like I want to become really strong"? And you said, "But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to observe other people and I will understand it perfectly. I'll become the best bodybuilder just by someone else lifting the weights." What the ChatGPT does, it picks up the weights for you, does the curling, does the squats, does the everything, and you're just watching it and say, now that's other thing that you use. I'm learning. You are learning amazingly. But there is a difference between looking at someone doing the hard work versus doing the hard work. And ChatGPT deprives you from that. So if you're a junior, I recommend you for the first 2 years of your career as a developer. Also, like my first 2 years were AI free, right? And most of the developers that were around 5 years back probably did not even taste ChatGPT a year after it's released. Let it go. You can become a good developer without ChatGPT, and I recommend you for the next 2 years of your career, for the first 2 years of your career. Don't use it at all. Gain the experience, have a hard time, because usually people have it the other way around. People usually, I'll ask ChatGPT, and if it doesn't, then I'll Google. But ChatGPT is the easiest thing to do, right? Now, I'm not saying just like you can say, well, it's to your analogy, I say analogia in English. You it's the same thing. Like I don't want to pick up 20 kilos of whatever and I'm just like a scrawny dude. I don't want to, like I'll just do 5 and then I'll have it someone else. But you're not even doing 5, you're doing nothing. Give yourself the hard time and you'll get better. You will get better. Just don't rely on ChatGPT. That's like my end. Preferences for myself. Okay, I really like to say that, and it's maybe because I'm too passionate about the development, and I like the workflow, and I also like the attention that comes with being a teacher and being an influencer, and I probably would love that a bit more. That's why I'm trying to do this, and I'll also give you my setup. Like, I'll tell you what my setup is with the camera and the mic that you can't really see, and like my keyboard, my mouse, like whatever. You need to recognize that like even this setup is after like some iterations of trying to get better, and I'm really pleased about it, but it's not that like you never end like with the perfect workflow, but just with the workflow that you're pleased and you're saying, it's good enough for now. It's good enough, but it's going to get major changes. So we've gone through a lot. I really hope I helped you guys with whatever journey that you're walking through, with understanding development and understanding recruitment a bit more. And also, I forgot to mention, I said it somewhat at the beginning, but it's important to emphasize. If you have the time and you're not stressed financially, choosing the development road is better long term than choosing, my opinion, choosing the DevOps to development. You will gain and you will learn about yourself much more in the 1.5 years that it will take you to get the first job than it is to work for 1.5 years as a DevOps. Okay, but like you never worked as a DevOps. I know DevOps is a basic level. 1.5 years, you probably have the same level. As a junior DevOps. Probably have the same level, which are 1.5 years, like Jenkins and all the stupid pipelines and Dockers and Kubernetes, and like I know all this stuff. Okay, but I didn't need to become DevOps to know all this stuff. I just learned it if it became necessary. And you can also do that yourself, right? So it's also like a big disclaimer. I'm not a DevOps, though I know DevOps. I'm not a software architect, though I know software architecture. And everything that I've learned so far was just because I really love learning these subjects and when they became relevant. That's it. I hope you the best of luck in your journey as you become a better developer and as you make the really tough decision whether or not to become a DevOps or developer. But the best of luck. And if you need anything from me, I'll leave a link in the description to my LinkedIn. I'm not using Instagram or Facebook that much. I really don't like them. So you can even ask me in the chat, in the comment section down below, and LinkedIn, and just whatever you guys need. I'll try to do my best to answer you, whatever I can do to help. Okay? So I see you guys hopefully tomorrow. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I need to figure out, that's the plugin. Bye.